Welcome back to something. Not quite sure what it is, but it is something. About a year ago, PW died as it normally does, and there we were, sitting, watching Bannerlord rot away, with Tailwolves refusing to allow modders to do any work, killing their player base, claiming that all was well. We had always planned to make a group on Bannerlord as soon as it came out. Of course, we thought this would be the case when Tailwolves said so in 2016, and 2017, and 2018. And 2019, and so on, until in March of 2020, the early access finally released, with them declaring it would take about a year. Apparently, Tailwolves' estimation of a year is 2. Regardless, finally, in April of this year, they announced that private servers were being released within the near future. Excitedly, we called a Grand Council to discuss how we'd be going forward on the mod. And then 4 months went by, with no news whatsoever. In fact, many of us had just given up hope, feeling lied to again, and for good reason. I moved on to other games, dumping hundreds of more hours into the dead Imperator Rome. Why should I do that? Why would I?
I don't know, there's no moral law, just do it. You win, you got me.
I will not put it in my videos. We had a lot of fun on Battlecry of Freedom while it lasted.
1v1, 1v1, come on, 1v1. Rule 1v1.
Darkness and I trash-compacted kids on Age of Empires 3 in a totally fair and balanced Baja Blast strat. Honestly, not a terrible summer. But I had resigned myself to the eternal weight of Bannerlord for the 10th time. Finally, though, on the Blue, on one Saturday evening, we got a release date. It was a few months off, but finally, something! Shortly after this announcement came out, CRPG did as well. If you don't know what CRPG is, that's understandable. I didn't until Matt got me to download it. Simply put, it's native, but you customize your character with skills on the website, and you have a lot of flexibility in the type of build you want to go for. Naturally, this comes for a lot of troll builds.
It featured riveted armor.
Draggy move.
He's back, you're still alive.
I'm still alive!
Oh my god. Sorry, I'm gonna get shot by a melee again. Are they coming back?
Jesus Christ, look at me! 4 times by teammates.
Time.
It's out mid. All your
What the fuck build is this?
It is just pure chaos.
It's amazing, actually. He's a UAV.
And you have
He's a line-breaking UAV.
He has the camel with like the glitchy bags.
Anyway, it's a very long grind, and the purpose of this is so you can fight in a thing called Strat, which is still being developed. This is where you fight battles and sieges with other clans, and the winner takes a town or castle on the map based on that. There's resources and logistics to worry about, but that's the main premise. And this, of course, is something that greatly interests me, and Blackfire will certainly be taking a part on it when it releases, regardless of whether we're on PW or not. Speaking of PW, when Bannerlord first released in Early Access, the team who made Persistent Kingdoms on Warband announced that they were developing a successor in Bannerlord called Kingdoms. Well, it wasn't originally called Kingdoms, it was called Lands Connect, but you can imagine it took as long as 5 seconds before the ragers on the forum demanded it to be changed, so Kingdoms. Of course, without private servers, which Tailwolves refused to release, you're unable to test anything in multiplayer mod, as well as hard coding against multiplayer modding. So they kind of just existed in an idea state for a while, and right around the time of release, which would mean the release of private servers, Bridge Troll, the head developer, vanished. Like, he's gone. Nobody's heard from him in months. None of his IRL friends either. His phone is disconnected. He could be dead for all we know. Bridge Troll, if you're watching, please come back. Regardless, without Bridge Troll, the other devs who signed up to help him were leaderless, and many of them moved on to other things in the 3 years they were waiting. So PW kind of looked doomed. But then people started talking about another mod, made by some Turks named Arain and Mental Rob. Honestly, I didn't believe it at first, but lo and behold, yep, there was a separate group working on a mod called Persistent Empires, and with some speed, mind you. Like, they made the faction system in a day! I'm no modder, but that's pretty damn impressive. I would have thought that would take weeks. Point being, they were posting dev blogs left and right, and out of nowhere, our hopes were rekindled almost overnight. They've got a lot of cool things, like an innovative new item stacking system, but the thing I like most about the team is that they're very vocal. What do I mean by that? They answer almost every comment that is directed at them in their Discord, which is obviously linked in the description. They actually talk to the players who are interested in the mod and discuss things with them. They're very hard workers, and I've offered my full support to them. They don't have a clear release date out yet, but at the rate they're going, I can't imagine it'll be long before we're once again slashing and hacking our way to war crimes. As for Blackfire right now, it's about as organized as it's ever been. We've got a full-fledged officer corps made up of Old Guard and New Blood, 8 different subunits to choose from. I mean, technically 9 if you count the King's Guard, but you don't exactly choose them, they choose you. But it's as big as it's ever been. The clan, not the King's Guard. Matthew's come back, Karma's come back, even Great John's come back. It's quite the community we've got going. We have a pretty busy schedule, at least 3 native events per week, sometimes more, as well as things like Victoria 3, which, I mean, you probably could have guessed that based on the music that's playing right now. Obviously, these are voluntary and not our focus, but I have noticed members getting much better throughout playing with them. Take Bittersteel, for example. He wasn't trash a few months ago by any means, but he certainly wasn't the best player ever, not someone I'm going to sweat to kill. Now, though he's participated in group fights as well as grinding on CRPG, he's now a contender for the King's Guard. And this is by no means an isolated example. There are many people who have honed in their skills just by playing with us over the past few weeks, and I have no doubt that more will improve leading up to the release of Persistent Empires, which, no matter how much you clowns badger me, I'm not calling PE. Mercer suggested just Empires, which isn't great, but indefinitely better than someone confusing it for gym class. Hey, do you want to get good, as the kids are saying, and fight with the oldest and largest PW group? Click on our Discord in the description to join. And as the Great John detests, don't run with scissors. But if you don't know that by now, you probably never will.
You support the new gun laws and the way
Well,
that
what I
it's
like to do, is see it and everything and stuff. I like to see it, you know.
My favorite New Jersey.